Hey guys, how you doing today? I wanted to share with you a first chapter Friday of a new book by Gordon Corman. It is in our LRC. It is checked out right now, but I do adore Gordon Corman and wanted to share this one with you. So if you have read Ungifted, or if you have read Mastermind or anything like that, Restart, he's that author. So this just came out a couple months ago and I wanted to share it with you. This is actually an Amazon piece, but I wanted to show you the inside of the book. So just so you kind of have an idea of what it's about. It says from New York Times bestselling author Gordon Corman comes a hilarious middle grade novel about a group of kids forced to unplug at a wellness camp, where they instead find intrigue, adventure, and a whole lot of chaos. Perfect for fans of Corman's The Unteachables and Mastermind series, as well as Carl Hyacint's Eco Mysteries. As the son of the world's most famous tech billionaire, spoiled Jet Barnovan has always gotten what he wanted. So when his father's private jet drops him in the middle of the Arkansas wilderness at a place called the Oasis, Jet can't believe it. He's forced to hand over his cell phone, eat grainy veggie patties, and participate in wholesome activities with the other kids who he has absolutely no interest in hanging out with. As weeks go on, Jet starts to get used to the unplugged life and even bonds with the other kids over their discovery of a baby lizard turned pet, Needles. But he can't help noticing that the adults of the Oasis are acting really strange. Ted is determined to get to the bottom of things, but can he convince everybody that he is no longer just a spoiled brat who is making trouble? So I wanted to read part of the first chapter for you. This is kind of what we just talked about. So Unplugged by Gordon Corman. All right, chapter 1, Jet Barnavo. Matt says I could see the majestic beauty of the American Southeast if I'd bother to glance out the window. So I glance. Clouds, I report, whoop-de-doo. I've got all the majestic beauty I need right here. I've got a private plane cruising at 28,000 feet. I've got two flight attendants who bring me snacks and sodas every time they think I look hungry or thirsty. I've got super fast internet, even though we're flying way above any cell network. My phone connects to a system of satellites thanks to a tiny chip designed by Fugo, the tech company started by my father. Right now, the screen shows the selfie I just slightly enhanced using Fuego's state-of-the-art editing software. I added a caption, jet on a jet. If that's not meme worthy, I don't know what is. With a swipe, I upload it to the Fuego app. Matt rolls his eyes when the image appears on his screen. He follows all my social media, but he's not a buddy. Warden might be a better word, or at least babysitter. My father, Matt's boss, put him in charge of keeping me out of trouble. That might be the hardest job in Silicon Valley right now. Quantum computing is patty cake compared with trying to make me do something I don't want to do. Kind of a point of pride with me. Jet on a jet, he challenges, really? 60 grand a year for the finest schools, and that's the best you can come up with? It's insightful commentary on my life, I insist. Dad loves this plane more than he loves me. He even named me after it. And the extra T stands for trouble, Matt adds, quoting my father's often repeated comment. Yes, the famous Vladimir Barnavor, billionaire founder of Fuego, cracks dumb dad jokes like all the other fathers. The plane's official name is Del Fuego. Our 40-acre compound in Silicon Valley is known as Casa del Fuego. You get the picture. I've named my toilet the Fuego Bowl. Back in December, I set off a bunch of cherry bombs in it to see if I could trigger the Fuego detector in the hall. Verdict, success. I also found out that our whole house is outfitted with emergency sprinklers. Vlad was pretty ticked off about that. How was I supposed to know? My family's all about fuego, not agua. Come to think of it, that was just when Matt began spending a lot more time in the company of his boss's son. Matt Logan has started out as a high-flying young programmer at Fuego. Lately, though, his job seems to be keeper. I feel a little bad about that. Matt signed on with Fuego to change the world, not to ride with me in the limo to school to make sure I actually get there, or to be an extra chaperone at the Halloween dance to prevent a repeat of the last Halloween dance, when I hired a local motorcycle gang to ride their Harleys into the gym. There were a lot of tall eighth graders last year, so it took a couple minutes for the teachers to realize that the newcomers weren't actually students. Hey, I'm just having fun. Sometimes you have to work at it. It's harder than it looks, you know. I have a saying, fertilizer, meat fan. I originally had another word for the first part, but it already got me kicked out of my private school. My third in 3 years, by the way. My mother flew all the way back from Ulaanbaatar to straighten things out, starting with me. Vlad says what I really need is to find some friends. That's also harder than it looks. People expect me to be a stuck-up rich kid, so they stay away. Whatever. I've gotten pretty good at lone woofing it. Too good, some people think. Bay Area Weekly just named me Silicon Valley's #1 spoiled brat. Remember, we're talking about California. Think of all the other spoiled brats I had to beat out for that title. Vlad always says I should aim for the best. Besides, I've always got Matt. He's 27, but he still counts as a friend. I mean, I think he'd still hang out with me even if his boss didn't tell him to. Yeah, right. I'm sure he can think of a million things he'd rather do. The pilot makes an announcement to fasten our seatbelts and turn off all electronics. As usual, I ignore both messages. Matt's exasperated. Your name may be Barnavar, but your head can split open the same as anybody else's. So I sigh and fasten my seatbelt, but I pull a blanket over my lap so Matt won't see. When we're on the tarmac and they open the door to let us out, the blast of heat and humidity nearly knocked me back into the galley. What is this place, an Amazon jungle? Matt grins right in my face. Welcome to Arkansas. No, seriously, I tell him. He's solemn. This is Little Rock, Arkansas. We've still got a 3-hour drive ahead of us from here. To where? The moon? He reaches back and pulls me down the stairs to the tarmac. Listen, Jet, the sprinkler thing was bad enough. When the floors warped, your poor father had to get the replacement wood imported from Specials Cedars in Lebanon. My science teacher says a cherry bomb is more than a gram of flash powder, I explain. Sue me for being curious. Matt's not done yet. Was it curiosity that made you drive that go-kart off Fisherman's Wharf? Lucky for you, I was able to kill the story before it went viral on Twitter. But when you pulled that little stunt with the drone, you can't blame me for that. I was just trying to get a few aerial shots of Emma Ludwig's pool party. The problem was that sitting between my house and hers is San Francisco Airport. Fertilizer, meat fan. That wasn't my fault, I defend myself. How was I supposed to know the Air Force was going to scramble fighter planes to shoot down one little drone? Or that the pieces were going to break so many windshields in that parking lot? Don't act so surprised, Matt tells me firmly, steering me toward the terminal. This isn't the first time your antics got you a little too much attention and you had to lie low for a while. Yeah, I agree, but lying low is a couple of weeks on the Riviera or maybe Bali, not Arizona. Arkansas, he corrects me. So he's going to know if the two of us get back on the plane, fuel up, and fly someplace else. Remember that private surf island off Australia where everybody gets their own chef? He cuts me off. Forget it, Jet. Your dad's right on. And that is the almost end of the first chapter of Unplugged by Gordon Corman. You can get it in the LRC. You could probably find it at the public library. And of course, you can get it on Amazon. All right, guys, I hope I hooked you enough to get you interested. Take care.